there. I'm glad you came back to see me while I'm finishing up in the garden today, thinking about how we can take care of our animals in the same way we take care of our plants. Here's the little earthworm that I found a little while ago up in the garden, and he's in there, but I don't think he wants to be in the water. So I just brought a few samples because I thought it might be fun for you to set up a little experiment at home. Take all the little stuffies or animals that you have and think about each one at one at a time. Look at their feet, how they eat, how they drink, their feet and legs, their body covering, how they might protect themselves. And in that way, you can put some water, just get some small cups and put some different types of soil in them. A huge rock like mountains, a smaller rock like would be in a rocky area. These could be mountains, a rocky area, and then big rocks break down over time into smaller rocks and pebbles, and finally into either clay soil like we have here in Georgia, or sand at the beach, or dark soil like we have in other parts of the country and in our gardens. And then of course water like we have at the ocean. So then take each one at a time. I have a turtle, a cardinal, a bunny, a dog, a duck, and a bear. Oh, and Mr. Penguin and Mr. Spider. And let's pretend that we have a little zoo and we have to figure out what would be the best type of ground cover to give them and how much water. First of all, then we'd have to determine what their house would look like to keep them safe from sun and what they need around them to protect them from predators. So that would help us, but we determine that with animals, as the vet does, by looking at their body parts. So the worksheets, which I hope you'll find, will help you think about that more, and you can experiment with a little pipette of water on how it runs off on the rocks compared to how it runs off on the clay, how it runs off on the sand and the soil, how it reacts in the pebbles and the stones. And in that way, you can start to think about, does each of these animals need a certain type of soil, and does it need to be moist or does it need to be dry? My little earthworm guy that I just brought down here would probably be similar to a snake in what he needs. He's still crawling around and he's not trying to get out of the water. He's just sort of staying at the edge of it. But if we had a penguin, I wonder if a penguin could live in the mountains. Maybe not. Maybe he'd need to have some water all the time. So we'll just put him right in there and let him swim around or float around, whatever he might want to do. Uh-oh. And then the spider, Mr. Spider, if he were real, I need some forceps. I forgot to bring my forceps because we don't want to touch him. But if we had a spider, where does he need to be? We usually see them up in the corner, right? Not near any kind of water or any kind of soil. But they have to live somewhere on Earth. So maybe they'd probably live closer to stones. And for each one of these animals, you could look at their body parts, see how they protect themselves, see how they eat, see how they drink, and then look at their body covering, and would they need to live in a type of soil that gave them a lot of protection in the mountains where they could hide from the sun, or in a cave, a deep dark cave in the rocks most of the time? Where do bears hibernate? And where would the kind of food that they eat live in what kind of soil? So you're thinking about plants for most of them. They eat other animals and plants. So we all have to keep them together in our thoughts. And then think about if one of these, maybe not the bear, but think if you had a pet, and what would you need for him? Like in a zoo, what would you need if you had a pet at home? How would you give him the best, healthiest life cycle so he could live the longest, best life? I just hope you'll have fun asking all those questions and experimenting and testing with some animals or even stuffies that you have at home. All right, well, we'll see you soon again, so have a great day. Bye.